Greetings, YouTube. Today we're looking at an eyewitness book. This is Knight. Discover the world of the medieval knight, from battles to banquets, sieges to chivalry. And here's a little splurge of all the different types of, or some of the different types of eyewitness books. I wonder how many different types of eyewitness books there are. That's, yeah, I gotta say it's 16th century. That's just on a cusp when heavy armor began to become out of fashion. Very classic simple helmet. And the halberd, the Swiss Army tool of full arms. So we have the first knights. Yes, the first knights were wearing much simpler armors and much simpler weapons than were traditional. I mean, the sword is the symbol of, essentially the symbol of authority and office and the prestige of the knight, but on the battlefield you were far more likely to see spears and axes and, of course, maces. Gee, that's not really nice. It's not very nice to your horse, now is it? There you go. It's a very short-hafted mace, an early design. Making a knight, so the early training sections. It's a nice canvas on that one. Slightly older person training to become a knight once they hit adulthood. Iron everywhere. And you have fully riveted mail. Let me see if I can bring that in there. You can see that? That's fully riveted mail. Very tedious to make. Very expensive to make. Numerous different kinds of helmets and gauntlets. And this is really nice because these are historical pieces. You can tell from the patina. Fashions in steel. And yes, armor had as much to do with fashion as anything else did. Things came in and out of style. And some of the styles got ludicrous in their absurd structures. Arms and the man. So you have different types of classic, what we consider swords. Again, here's another mace, and here's a small axe. Very useful. Here we have a beautiful, absolutely gorgeous piece of barding. Look at that, man. With a little unicorn horn just for flavor. And even the stirrups are really, really quite lovely. A little simpler, but still very well executed. There's in the Tower of London, I believe it's still, I don't know if it's on display at the moment, but there is an example of armor for an elephant. And we here have a brief concept of how the castles are laid out. This one has a really great moat. Difficult to take that place. Here we have the siege weapon and the howitzer of the siege weapons, the trebuchet, the one that was the most accurate and most capable of hurling essentially the largest missiles. Really fabulous piece of engineering there. And this is what you were more along the lines when most people think of catapults or siege weapons. This is what they think of. It's arming for the fight. Getting into a suit of armor was not an easy process. It was quite involved. And here we have a fully kitted knight with his mace. We have the enemy. Yeah, they didn't much like archers. Yeah, screw you. The archers were very capable of taking out knights. And then we have caltrops, which is, you know, a dirty trick to use on someone on horseback. But it was quite efficient. We have the castle at peace, like these are eating utensils. I should show off my feast gear. I have some feast gear kicking around. I haven't used it in a while. I have feast gear. A much simpler, kind of a daily piece of wear, with just the only weapon he has on him is a dagger here. People did not wear armor unless they absolutely had to. Yeah. I don't let my adventurers wear armor in cities either. Ooh, that's really pretty. And what was wonderful about this age is so much of it was done with this ornate individual carvings and accents that really didn't add any functionality, but these items were all considered to be works of art. Isn't that beautiful? I mean, absurd, but it's lovely. This is a little more menacing. It's a little more menacing, reminiscent of Hercules or Hercules. And here we have more of a tourney helm. Obviously, you can't see a lot there, but by gosh and by golly, if a lance hits this, it's not going to break your neck or tear off your jaw. Foot combat, and again, a poleaxe, very deadly, very useful. So many ways you can use a poleaxe in combat. Then we have heraldry, which is a fascinating school of knowledge. It really is. Hunting and hawking, and we have the crossbow here. You would have also seen the stone bow, which is not depicted here. This is a crossbow, a stone bow, which would fire a bullet or stone, and was used for firing at smaller game because it would do blunt force impact, as opposed to a bolt like this would just tear right through a small animal. So the stone bow would have also been popularly used, and it was even, I believe, it was even used by women. We have a boar catcher. And we have items of religious significance. I'm sure that Christ really appreciated the simple beauty of that, didn't he? Yes, the Crusades! Let's go out, kill people, and take their stuff. It's a lot like D&D. The Knights of Christ. Again, all out there searching for the Holy Grail. And then we have some Eastern Knights, samurai, which filled the very similar role, but not exactly the same role in Japanese culture. They didn't touch on the Chinese, though. I mean, the Chinese had highly regimented troops and honor and things like that, but I guess they don't make the cut. Another halberd. I like this dark wash in here. I like the way that looks. The decline of chivalry. And if you ever notice that, sometimes you'll see in modern forms of military dress, especially the ones worn just for show, for like ceremonies and things, there'll be a small metal crescent at the throat. That's the gorget, and it is the remnants of all this armor. It is the symbolism of the armor worn by the knights of old. Then we have a little quiz. Did you know? And then a rough timeline of which is a nice touch. Resources for finding out more stuff. A nice illustrated glossary and an index. Let's hear it for glossaries and indexes. This has been the Eyewitness book Knights or Knight, and I'm really glad this one's in my collection. It was a find. I found it at a thrift shop, and since it was in a kid's book, they charge like nothing for those.